while it's hot.
Walking on the moon. Walking on the moon.
One moment to escape. And you're walking on the moon.
Walking on the moon. Walking on the moon.
I've never been. All our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some levels that I've never been. All our trouble seems to fade away. When we dance I've never been.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a special edition of the Nemesis Gaming League as we are here on Championship Saturday for the grand finals of Season 8. I'm happy to be back. I'm Rocker Man, the Nemesis director and host for tonight's pre-show. We're going to be previewing all the action. We're going to go through it in a quick 30-minute segment here before we get to the Provision League grand finals, but I am joined by some beautiful individuals here. First off, we got the one and only Season 4 champion. We got Jaegers, the stash, in the booth. Jaegers, how's it going?
Always a pleasure, Austin, and I'm excited for tonight. We should have some banger matchups. Hopefully, although not all of them will go to 7, hopefully we have some good content here.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Usually the grand finals, they do provide usually at least one that goes to 7, or at least close to the distance, so we'll definitely be in for an exciting night. We've also got the one and only, the Season 5 All-Star, the one, the Magic Pepperoni. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I am so excited for everything that tonight has to offer. And like Jaeger said, I am expecting hopefully a few game sevens. I think these teams are so close across the board, and I think we got a very action-packed night ahead of us.
Yeah, we definitely do. And last but not least, making his debut here with us at the face cams, we got the lovely Sage Burner out there. Sage, welcome to the pre-show. How you doing?
Doing good, guys. Thank you for having me. Should be a fun night here.
It definitely should. And I mean, it's been a crazy season, season 8, our biggest season yet. We've added a couple of new leagues here in Nemesis. Not a couple, but we've added one new league, the Provisional League, this season. So we've got 6 leagues in Nemesis, the biggest season ever. And it all comes down to this for $1,500 on the line tonight, split between all these leagues. So a lot of action going on tonight, a lot to talk about. So we are just gonna dive right in. We're gonna zoom on through this. Let's start off the previews with the Titan League, where we have Phoenix taking on Godfathers, and we can have someone take care of that. We'll preview each of the teams here, the regular season's in review, and then we'll talk about their playoff run, and then we'll get to the predictions there. So why don't we start it off with Jaegers here, who can tell us a little bit about the number 1 seeded Godfathers.
Yeah, the Godfathers, the best record in all of Titan at 14-4. They started out the season a little rough, going 0-2, but then they went on a 14-game win streak before losing their final 2 regular season games. So a great season bookended by losses. They did beat Phoenix in their one regular season matchup, 3-1. So Godfathers are going to be looking to have a repeat there.
They definitely will be there as they have had a great season, and they're going to be going up in another great team here in the Phoenix Age.
Phoenix, kind of a surprise to be here, in many people's opinion, but they ended off the season with a 12-6 regular season record. They started out really hot, going 8-1, but then ended off the season going 1-3 on a little bit of a dry spell. But they've been performing here in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, and definitely in picking up that late roster addition in Reveal, who replaced Xenix there. That is another great addition, and that's going to be something interesting to see there as both these teams have made it to the grand finals. Godfathers swept Venganza, then took down Inferno in 6 in a crazy series there. And Phoenix, they took down the Dragons 4-1, and then took down Pinnacle, the number 2 seed, at 4-2 to get here. So both these teams have had definitely a run. And something to note about these two teams, and what I find the craziest about this, guys, is these two teams were number 15 and number 16 last season in Titan League. They were the worst 2 teams in Titan League last season, and now they are competing in the grand finals, and one of them is going to be a champion. So that just goes to show you, you never know what can happen in Nemesis. You never know what's going to happen in the next season, and it's a little crazy. You can get a little crazy at times. So we're definitely going to see which of these teams had the better rebound season. And why don't we go down the list here? And let's get through our predictions. Let's get them on the stream for everyone. We have Godfather versus Phoenix. Sage, let's start with you.
I'm looking at a Godfather's 4-2 Phoenix. Like I said, I'm super surprised to see Phoenix making the run that they did. I thought Pinnacle would be able to stay on their high horse there and make it to finals, but an upset there, a great upset by Phoenix. Unfortunately, I think they'll come up short tonight.
We'll have to see. Magic, let's go to you. Who are you taking in this one?
I think I'm in the same boat as Sage here. I got 4-2 in the favor of Godfathers. I cannot bet against Dylan and Arrow when it matters most. And he's right. Phoenix, nobody saw it coming for them to get here, so maybe they proved both of us wrong. But I'm not seeing it. I'm riding with Arrow to the top.
All right, we'll have to see if Arrow can pull it off here. Jaegers, who
Yeah,
are you going with here?
I'm going to have to disagree. I think Phoenix pulls off the upset here. 4-3, going all the way to Game 7. I think we're going to end off the night on an absolute banger matchup.
Yeah, I hope so. This is our last match at 11 p.m. Eastern, so it's down to be a good one. And I'm gonna make my prediction here. And I was debating this one as well, but I gotta rock with them. They've had so much momentum here coming into the playoffs. I'm going with Phoenix here. I think the reveal buff is going to be too much. I do agree with Jaegers that it's going to go to 7, but I think the reveal buff might just be a little bit too much to handle. They played really well against Pinnacle, against my team. and we'll have to see if they can pull it off one more time. So we will see. That matchup is at 11 p.m. Eastern, the final match of season 8. So make sure you guys are staying around for the entire stream for that one. But let's move along now to the rival league, where we have Distortion taking on a Vortex. Distortion, the 1 seed, Vortex, the number 2 seed here, and both of these teams have had great seasons in the rival league, and we'll talk a little bit about them here as we can send it to who wants to take the first one here for Distortion.
And I can
Honestly,
do it for you. I
okay.
can get you rolling with
All right, Magic.
Distortion because this team, number 1 seed and rival, as you said, and they had a dominant season, 15-3. They went on a long stretch of wins, and they are a stranger to failure this season. And I mean, honestly, for them to even get this far, dropping as many games as they did, and I mean, I don't think there's many doubters in this team, and they're gonna have their hands full tonight. But their season, it is pretty much an upward trend the whole way, and we'll see if it stops tonight or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And they're making their second grand finals appearance in a row is Distortion. So they've gone back to back, end up losing last season to the dominant Hydra team, but they're back and looking for some revenge here tonight. And they're going up against a Vortex squad who's looking for their second ever championship, Jaegers.
Yeah, no. Vortex started out the season 9-2. Went back and forth a little bit in the middle of the season before ending off the season with 2 wins. This is a Vortex squad that has been dominant, all second seed, and hopefully channeling. I believe it's their season 4 selves, if I'm not mistaken, with the upset over Hydra. I could be off by a season, but
right.
could be looking to have the upset here and take home the chip for their second time.
Hey, you're definitely right. That season 4 teams with some icons like Bubs and Chipmunk Man RL there on that squad. Yeah, they did win in season 4 and looking for their second ever championship. And both these teams, Sage, they've had some runs. It's the 1 and 2 seeds, but they did what they had to do to get here.
Absolutely. As the 1 and 2 seeds, they definitely performed as we're Distortion started off the playoff run, 4-2ing a rival. A tough matchup, but they got it done. And then in the semifinals, Distortion absolutely destroyed the Kings. Actually, a mess that I was able to cast. It was a beatdown, and they looked good. As for Vortex, they beat the Pineapples 4-1 in the quarters, and then in the semifinals, went on to beat Whiteout 4-2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both these teams, they were the top 2 teams in the rival league all season long. I know Vortex had that early hot start there to get to this point, and then Distortion kind of came out at the end, yeah, with a 15-3 finish, able to take the 1 seed, and they were able to move on as well as Vortex. And this matchup will be going at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. So let's go quickly around. We're gonna go around the table here. We're gonna get some predictions. I'm gonna start up at the top with Jaegers first.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm gonna have to give it to Vortex 4-2 over 4-3, excuse me, over Distortion. I see them pulling off the upset. I think the combo Isaac and Lush is just gonna be too much for Distortion. And I know they've got a great player in Hawk, but I'm not sure if Distortion can finish off the job for the second season in a row.
All right, Sage, does Distortion get over the hump this season?
I think Distortion does. I really like their play style. I think Hawk, Dexter, Botsy, Drax, no matter the trio that they put out there, I think they'll win this in convincing fashion.
All right, well, we'll have to see. Magic Pepperoni, who you got in this one?
Oh man. So about a month ago, I think Distortion swept Vortex, so I'm going a bit against the grain here with how, I mean, history has shown us, but I have 4-2 Vortex. I just think the speed of this team with Isaac, Luge, Ice Panther, and Flame Intruder, that's some big names right there, and a lot of mechanical players, and I think they'll get it done in game 6.
Ooh, all right. I am going to go out there and agree with you and Jaegers here. I have got Vortex in this one, but I mean, Distortion, there were times that they looked so dominant in that one. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm actually going to go 4-3 in this one as well. I think Vortex is gonna barely take it down, but I've got Vortex in this one. We'll see if they can stop Hawk and Botsy on the other side. But I mean, Lush and Isaac, that is definitely a combination there. But honestly, some great players. That one 10 p.m. Eastern going to be a great matchup. in the rival league. So you guys do not want to miss that one. But let's keep moving along here as we still have a lot to get through in a short period of time. We've got the Challenger League up next, where we have the Hellcats taking on the Raptors here in a very interesting Challenger League here. But Jaegers, what can you tell us about the Hellcats who are making their first Grand Finals appearance?
Yeah, no, the Hellcats had a very up and down season. Only winning the only time the most games they've won in a row is 4 games, and recently just caught fire, winning 6 in a row. Finished regular season 12-6 regardless, tied with 3 other seeds, but they ended up as a second seed and haven't looked back since.
They haven't looked back, and Hellcats made that run to the Grand Finals. We'll talk about in a second. But Magic, what can you tell us about the Raptors who are back in the Grand Finals yet again?
Cool. Yeah, as you said, reigning champions. And their season, it started off a breeze, winning 9 in a row to open up the season before losing, I think, their star player in Boxel, who went non-playing. And I mean, they filled in the gaps nicely since. They had a 12-6 finish. So, I mean, you win 9 in a row, you don't expect to win three the rest of the way, but they made it happen. And I mean, a lot of people expected them to fall flat on their face, and they haven't. They've made it back in their attempt to win a second straight title. And I mean, if they can get it done today, winning 2 in a row is a feat that very few teams have gotten done, and the Raptors have a chance to do it tonight.
Yeah, actually, there's only been teams that were repeated in Nemesis history, and the Raptors are looking to become number 6 here. And Sage, we kind of talked about it. Both these teams have made it to the Grand Finals, but how did they get here?
Both teams actually finished 12-6. Some had tiebreakers over others, but the Hellcats on their side, they ended up beating Papayas 4-1 in the quarters. Went on to beat the Assassins 4-2 in the semis. Pretty convincing displays in both of those games there. As for the Raptors, they got a unfortunate 4-0 victory over Flame. A little bit of, a scuffed matchup there. But then they went on and beat the number 1 seeded Race in a 3-1 comeback, I believe. It was an insane series. They looked good. I think that this matchup here is going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be this matchup will be going at 9 p.m. Eastern. Can the Raptors repeat, or will the Hellcats find their first ever championship? Let's go around the room here. Let's start with Jaegers again. Take your prediction away, my man.
Yeah, no, I mean the Hellcats have been really good this season, but I'm gonna have to give it to the Raptors. Game one, I cast that game. If I'm not mistaken, it was against the Bishops. I said both of these teams could go far in the postseason, and the Raptors, I see them seeing it through, winning their second championship in a row.
Ooh, all right, Sage, who do you got in this one?
Raptors are supposed to be our division rivals over here in Graveyard Shift, and I really like Ice Griff, one of my former teammates. So I'm gonna rock with the Hellcats here. I think Hellcats are gonna be able to win this one in 7.
All right, it's in 7. Then Magic, up to you.
Oh man, I mean the Hellcats have had a very tough road in the playoffs to get here, but I think that one win over the Wraith for the Raptors just trumps it all. And that beating the number 1 seed, you have to be the favorite coming into this game. And in Megalodon, I trust. I'm giving it to the Raptors in Game 7 for their second straight title.
There you go. Raptors going back to back. I'm going to go with the Hellcats here. As much as I love the Central Division, and I think it was the best division overall, I think the Hellcats are going to have just a little bit too much. I got them in 6 here, taking down the Raptors. But it depends. Who knows who's going to show up for the Raptors? They've been swapping that roster out all season, so it'll really depend on if Smeg's playing or if Smeg's not playing. No offense. There's obviously a great roster over there, and we'll see. We'll see if the Smeg buff is real, but I think Hellcats 1-6 for the Challenger League. So that one will be at 9 p.m. Eastern there. And let's keep moving along now to the Prospect League, which is very, very spicy here as we have Melons taking on Faded. So let's go over to the top here. Why don't we start with Magic Pepperoni for the Melons?
The Melons, they had a very good season, 13-5 across the board. They had a very impressive stretch of games to get here. Started off 6-0. They dropped their last 3 of the next 12. So I don't know if they exactly finished the way they wanted to, but I think a 13-5 record is something to be proud of for sure. and my guy Drips on that team. He is so mechanical, and he's going to be, in my opinion, the guy to watch for because we all know Adala. He's cracked out of his mind, but a little sleeper pick for tonight when you're watching the game. Watch out for Drips.
Definitely. Drifts is a great player. We saw him perform there in the semifinals against Origin. The Melons team looked, they looked right there. Jaegers, what can you tell us about this Faded team? Faded in the grand finals for the first time ever.
Yeah, no, faded really back and forth to start the season until game 7 where they won. I believe it was 10 games in a row before losing eventually to the Wyverns. And then they had a bit of a roster change, AAA leaving the league, and people thought maybe that would give Faded a bit of a setback, but it didn't. They kept going strong, and ended up in the final. So it looks like it worked out for them.
Yeah, it looks like it did work out for them as Faded. They made their rage. What can you tell us about these two teams and how they got here?
The Melons, on one hand, they've been pretty convincing so far, only dropping 2 games, one in each series, as they beat Hypernova 4-1 in the quarterfinals, and then eventually beating Origin 4-1 in the semis. As for Faded, they had a convincing 4-0 sweep over Ember, and then in the semifinals actually dethroned the number 1 seeded Warhawks in Game 6 to move on to the grand finals.
Yeah, and I'll speak for everyone when there was not a lot of people who were betting on Faded to take down those Warhawks there. I think that kind of surprised everyone, and sometimes those surprise runs do happen. And we're gonna have to see tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for this Prospect League matchup. If Faded can carry it along, or if the Melons are gonna win their 3rd championship all time here. So a lot is at stake in this one here. Let's go around the room here and get our predictions in. Let's start out with the Jaegers.
Yeah, no, I mean, Faded had a good end to the season, great in the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, Adola's been popping off for the Melons, and they're going to avenge last year's title run that fell off in the title and win this 4-2 over Faded.
All right, 4-2 here. Sage, who you got?
Melons, they've been sensational in the Prospect League ever since their birth. I think they're going to take this one 4-1.
4-1. All right, Magic Pepperoni.
Man, that Warhawks victory, that makes it so hard to pick against them. Everybody expects them to lose every single time they get on the pitch in the playoffs, and they prove us wrong every time. But I mean, I can't go against my former teammate Alpha, Drips, and Adala. That team is crazy. I have them taking it 4-1.
Ooh, 4-1. 4-1 Mills there. I would love to be the guy that's not going to get in the meme picture that predicted Faded to win, but I think it's Melons here. I think the Melons will take it. They are so strong. They're looking so good right now. They're peaking at the right time, which is what you need in the playoffs here. I think the Melons 4-2 here. I do think Faded will give a little bit of a showing here, but I don't think it'll quite be enough to take them down. So I got the Melons winning their 3rd championship ever here. So we'll have to see that one. 8 p.m. Eastern. As we continue to move on earlier and earlier in the night, we're heading to the Novice League, home to one of the guys here on the Wisp here. As we have Wisp versus Kiwis. Let's start things off. And you know what? Maybe we can have Sage talk about himself. Hype yourself up, Sage. Hype up those Wisps there, the number 1 seed.
We started off the season pretty well. We were undefeated until we went up against the Aurora roster with Kosei, where we lost in Game 5. After that, I decided to make a executive decision to get Dre and Vita off of Ignite and Kiwis. And after that, we've honestly kind of been on fire. We only lost 1 game to the people we're playing today, which is the Kiwis. We lost that game 3-1, but since then we've kind of caught on fire.
That definitely has been a great team taking that 1 seed. Not many teams can say they've got a 16-2 record, but there's a team that is pretty close there. I'll throw it to Jaegers here to tell us a little bit about those Kiwis who I believe were 15-3 on the regular season.
Yeah, no, the Kiwis started out the season hot with a team of Dre, Hydro, and Music before they eventually lost to the Spitfires back in week 4. after the break, they had a complete roster swap, losing Hydro, Dre, Rain, and Vigil, and they picked up Pillow and I might butcher this name, Fun,
I think it's Finn. I think it's
Yeah,
Finn,
it's been.
Finn. Well, they didn't look back after that, and ended up in the grand finals.
Hey, that's what happens when you get rid of the vowels in your name. It could be hard to figure out what they meant there, but yeah, the Kiwis definitely. Yeah, even losing Vigil right, literally a couple of minutes before the hard roster lock, so they had to go pick up removing Pillow at the very last second. They still been able to make a run through the playoffs. Their Magic.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams, the number 1 and 2 seed, I think the only other league that was rival that had the favorites went out all the way across. I mean, the Wisp, they had a very not convincing Game 7 win over Frost in the semifinals after winning 4-1 in the quarters. So that kind of gave us some doubts, but they did finish it. So who are we to say they can't do it tonight against a Kiwis team? They had a pretty tough stretch of games. They probably should not have gone to Game 7 in the quarterfinals against Genesis, but that team is a bunch of fighters, and they brought it to them. So going into this game tonight, this is a close series, and I really had a tough time picking the winner.
Yeah, honestly, I did as well here. But we did have to make a decision. And speaking of decisions, why don't we go around the booth, talk about this matchup, 7 p.m. Eastern. This will be our second grand final of the night down in the Novice League. Maybe classic here, Jaegers. What do you think?
It's a tough one. It really is a tough one, but I do see the Wisps taking this one 4-2, and I do think this is going to be a close series, but it all comes down to Forbidden Temple, and I see Wisps taking it there.
Hey, it always seems to get to that Forbidden Temple, and things can get very hectic there. And Sage, you're picking the Kiwis, right?
I don't want to jinx my team. Beforehand, I told Music I was gonna go with his team, but he talked me into going with my own team in 7 here.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. We'll see you on the pitch out there, Sage. We'll see if you can pull it off there and get the
I will
championship,
say
bring it
this,
back.
Austin. He tried. He tried writing it down.
Okay. Okay, there you go. We can vouch for him at least. He wasn't just purposely picking his own team. So I respect that. I respect it. We'll see. We'll see if Sage and the Wisp can pull off their or pull off his second championship there down in the Novice League. But Magic, who do you have in this one?
Man, I'm looking forward to casting this one, Austin. This is, as you said, going to be a classic. We got the media lead music versus Sage. And damn, this one was tough to pick, but I do have Sage taking it in Game 7. So you better not prove me wrong, bud.
Try my best. I'll try my best.
No pressure out there. And not adding to the pressure, I'm also going with the Wisps here. I think it's going to be another close series here. I also have this one going to 7, but I think the Wisps will just be too much to handle. I think Kiwis will keep it close, but I think the Wisps will have a little bit more command throughout the series. And then I think in Game 7, the ice comes out there and the Wisps take it down. So that's who I've got there. Looks like we got the Wisps all across the board. Hopefully this can come back to bite us either here as we're all going with the Wisps here. But let's round it out here. We'll keep it very brief because I know we have some casters that are going to love to talk about this matchup. So we'll keep it short, sweet, simple here as we have the Provisional League, which is our next matchup coming up in just a couple of minutes here. So why don't we keep this very brief? Let's go through it quickly here. Let's start with the Wolfpack, and why don't we go with who wants to take this one, Magic or Jaegers?
I can go for it because this is Dan's team, bro. This is the team he is excited for. And my old teammate Zevern's leading the charge. They finished 10-4 in the regular season. I mean, I think when I checked the survey, I don't think many people actually had them winning, which is surprising to me. 15-11, Jesters are favorited, and the Jesters went 8-6. So we'll see what happens, but I mean, don't doubt the Wolfpack.
You can't doubt them. You can't doubt them here. They were the 1 seed, like you said. They made it all this way, and they may just take it the distance, but they're going up against the Jesters here, Jaegers, who have also been pretty impressive here.
Yeah, no, I mean Jesters. The regular season wasn't super great, going 8-6, like Magic said, but they have longtime Nemesis member Kautarted, they have Stall, they have Fatal Shadow, and they haven't dropped a game in the playoffs. And that's gonna be tough for the Wolfpacks to go up against because I mean, if they haven't dropped a game, they're not going to start now.
Yeah, you don't want to be the team that's going to drop it now, especially when you're in the grand finals. The pressure is on here, Sage. Both these teams have made it here, and they've got one more game to go. But how do we get here in the Provincial League, the first ever Provincial League grand finals?
Well, for the Wolfpack, they got that first round bye because they were the 1 seed. They ended up taking on the Moderators and defeating them in six to make it to the grand finals. As for Jesters, it's been a little bit harder for them, maybe, as they're actually 8-0 in the playoffs so far. They have not dropped a single match. They were able to sweep Dissonance and then swiftly sweep the Goats, which were the number 2 seed, to make it to the grand finals here tonight.
Yeah, they made it here, and this matchup is going to be coming up in just a few minutes. But let's go around the booth here. Let's get some predictions. I know we'll be hearing from Jaegers in just a second. But Jaegers, why don't you preemptively get on the pick in here and give us your choice?
Yeah, no, normally I don't like to give my prediction till halfway through game 3, but I do see Wolfpack taking this one 4-3, game 7 victory over the Jesters. It should be a certified banger for the first ever provisional championship game.
Yeah, it's the first ever Sage, and who is going to be that first team here in the Provisional League? Who is going to be in Nemesis history taking home the Provisional League championship?
I know that Wolfpack has a strong team build. I like Lasagna Man. I like what they got going on over there. I've got to rock with my dogs on the other side. I like Stahl and I like Caltarda just a little bit more than them. I think that the Jesters are going to be able to get it done in seven.
Ooh, all right, Chester's in 7. Magic Pepperoni. Who do you have in this first ever Provisional Grand Finals?
In a few years from now, when you're looking back on the OG winners of the Provisional League, you're going to see the name Zeverns, the GOAT of Provisional, my first teammate, and I would be a fool not to pick my boy when it matters most. So I have the Wolfpack taking it in Game 5.
Oh man, you just reminded me of some good times out there on Genesis with Zebrans in my org there. I do love my boy Zebrans. I want to see him get it done, but I gotta go with the Jesters here. I think it's gonna be another insane series here. I think this one also has the potential to go to 7, but I've got the Jesters in this one. I think they're gonna have just a little bit too much for the Wolfpack here. I think they're gonna take them down, but it's anyone's guess here in the Provisional League, and it is going to be a good one. Before we send it away to our casters in the booth, quick shout out to Mitso for the subscription here, supporting us here at this grand finals day. And it is going to be a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 grand finals for the first time ever in Nemesis history. It is going to be a crazy night. So make sure you guys sit back, relax, tune into the Twitch channel, get your friends, get your family, get everyone, get them all in here, get them all watching, because it is a night that you do not want to miss here. And we are going to get things rolling right away here as we're going to head into the Provisional League Grand Finals, the first ever Provisional League Grand Finals. Who will be the champion in this one? We're going to send it over to Fly Penguin and Jaegers in the booth as they take us there for the Provisional League Grand Finals. Fly Penguin, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Rocker Man. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here with Jaegers to cast the very first ever Provisional League Grand Finals. This is my home. This is my league. I'm nervous myself to cast this match, and I'm sure these players are nervous themselves. But I'm really excited to see how it goes down. Wolfpack all season have been top in the league. They started out with Stallify, Savage, and Zeverns, and then middle of the season they traded for the number 1 overall pick, Lasagna Man, and 1-for-1 first Stallify. So both people going against their former teams. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. And Caltard himself was a 3rd overall pick, and he was drafted to Agility, and then he was unhappy there. He got traded to the Jesters with Lasagna Man, and right then and there, I was like, that's a grand finalist team. And then whenever the rosters expanded to 4 people, they picked up Fatal Shadow, or not Fatal Shadow, but they eventually got him on the roster, and I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are going to be unstoppable. Once that trade happened for Stallify, this Jesters roster has just completely become a juggernaut. But the Wolfpack themselves, they settled in with their new team, and they became unstoppable themselves. It's definitely Titans in the Provisional League. Jaegers, I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I am just so excited. This is my league, and I've been invested all season. But what do you think is going to go down here?
First of all, Penguin, welcome to the show, man. It's gonna be great casting with you. I'm excited for this matchup. I casted the Wolf